The Crypt Terror, which hopefully will be decent. The 3rd of May, 1336. This is possibly one of the oldest settings I've ever had for a game before. 3 weeks ago, a curse was bestowed upon the town of Shadone. One presumes. Goodness, I make fun of the Americans for pronouncing it Shire all the time. Livestock killed, corpses desecrated, madness grew. Shrieks and chants were heard from the town's foregone catacombs. Many believed that to be the source of the town's curse. Lord Raleigh commanded the town's clergy to go down and rid them of this evil, for there is nobody better suited to bludgeon a monster than a man of the cloth. One by one they entered the depths of darkness, yet none returned. I guess they liked it down there. The corruption only grew. And now, by the Lord's order, it is your turn to venture down. Goodness, what a spooky setup. Is this the elevator? Farewell, dear friends. Thank you for coming and getting down on your knees. You've made me feel much better about this. May you rid us of this evil. I'll try my best. You feel I'd take one of these fiery sticks with me to help. But, it might be alright. But probably not. Anyway, yes, good evening, welcome to something called the Crypt Terror, which I hope will be decent, because it's been sat at the top of Itch.io, Itch.io's horror page, for quite a while now, so, I assume there must be at least something decent about it. So, what are we going to find down here? From the way that they describe the livestock being killed and the corpses being desecrated, it reminded me a little bit of the legend of the Chupacabra, which, if you're not familiar with, is a sort of, I'm not really sure what it is, to be honest. It's a sort of vampiric wolf creature, I think. I think I've seen some depictions of it with wings as well, which is interesting. Oh goodness, is this a maze game? Okay, hopefully it's an amazing game as well. All right then. Let's just skirt around the outskirts first before we twist about and go inside. Oh goodness. I don't know if we should go down deeper, but I suppose that's what we're going to do now. I don't want it to be a stickler for accuracy, but oh goodness. Aren't catacombs usually used for storing bodies? I'm not seeing no bodies. Also, where are all the dead priests that presumably have come down here and been eaten by this monster? Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were converted. Maybe he taught them how to actually have fun. I'll go through here. Left mouse button to interact. Excuse me. Oh, thank you. I wish to have a cup of tea, please. Oh, goodness. Can I crouch down here? Yes, I can. Goodness. A competent tutorial. I can see why people like this game. Alright then, what's that? Is that just another door? It had better just be another door. Yes, it is. It is 2 doors. It is a threesome of doors. Goodness, I don't think as a clergyman I'm allowed to get involved in such things. Well, alright. We've gone right. Oh, goodness. I was going to say we've gone right thus far. Let's go left. But now I've noticed all the blood. Alright. Excuse me. I need to do an investigation of all the blood. And the flickering light. Oh gosh, I am so going to... Oh goodness, goodness, gracious me. I can see, well, there's a lot of blood in there now. Right. I always was the more nimble of my brethren, so, no surprises that I survived that. I think this is the first game I've ever played where you have to knock to open a door instead of just opening it yourself. I think that's very polite. Right then. I was allowed to sprint during that little chase sequence, but I'm not allowed to do it now. Can I jump? No, giddy on. I can just remember that E is the light button and scare myself quite badly. Okay. what have we here? A sacrificial table? Possibly. Where's that dripping from? I don't know. There may be a drippy person up above, but I can't see them. And of that, I'm quite grateful. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So the Crypt Terror doesn't really look like the Chupacabra. It looks a bit more human than that. It's possibly vampiric from the Blood Chalice. Oh dear. Oh good, we're going back up again. I think that's a wise idea. I think going up is good, because it might get me away from this place. Okay, and now we're in the void. Is this meant to be like this? Or have I broken the game and some of the assets aren't loading properly? I assume this is intentional. Alright, I could go back here where everything's familiar and safe and happy again, but then we've got to go back down towards the depths of hell and the bowels of the creature. Let's go this way instead. Okay, again, this will lead us to another corridor. Where does this lead? Goodness, it goes on for a while, doesn't it? That's a dead end. That leads us back down again. Okay, I don't much want to go this way. I also don't want... Oh, goodness. Can I go through here? Goodness, yes I can. Goodness, it's like Vanish. Yeah, I'm not convinced this is the correct way to go, but I'm definitely convinced that walking back would be a would not exactly appeal to brevity. So you'll pardon me if I carry on this down this little intestinal track that I seem to be heading down. Seems to be too narrow, however. Oh gosh, seems to be too narrow for that monster to chase me through, though. So that's it. Oh, kitty aunt! Oh, that's it, is it? Right. Goodness. Right, I want to do that again. But this time I want to go some different ways, because presumably there are other ways that you can die. Like other well, obviously there's other ways you can die, in terms of, like, you could die in that corridor with the blood. I wonder if there are other endings. I don't know if there's going to be like a successful ending where you can win the game, but you'd imagine there'd be a little bit more to it than that, because there were so many pathways, and it can't just be that there's one pathway that leads you to that, like, fire off in the distance, and that's where the end of the game happens, and that's where you definitely die. Goodness, I absolutely love how brief this intro is. It can't just be that I was amazingly lucky and found, like, the actual ending so quickly. So, I'm going to go back down, and we're going to take a few different paths this time. We'll go left at the beginning instead of going right, and see if we find anything else or anything different, or whether I was just very lucky and didn't go into any dead ends. Alright, goodbye, my friends. I'm sure I will survive. I have optimism and faith. Oh dear. That was a good scare, though. I forgot. That was a good scare. Especially since I was convinced that that passageway was too small for that monster to fit through, but I guess he's a bit more limp than I gave him credit for. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Right then, let's go left and see what we find. We find the grand total of Diddly Squad. Brilliant. Well, I guess that makes sense, because this is the way which we encounter all those objects which taught us how to play the game. Which way did I go? I kept going right, didn't I? So this time I shall go left. See if we find anything different. Okay, I think that again just leads you here. Both of those pathways lead you to the same place. So maybe this is a little bit more linear than I realised, actually. Still not sure what this is. I feel like if you added another board, it could become a sort of a crucifixion thing. I don't know what you'd call it. Excuse me, that's my end. I wish to see if I can find another ending, please. Yeah, there's a sort of a shoddily constructed one which is missing most of it. Or possibly it's for crucifying somebody who's a bit harmless. Which, now I think about it, would be difficult. Well, there's the solution to your problems. If you don't wish to be crucified, lop your arms off. Oh, for goodness sake. I have had a lot of good luck here, haven't I? In terms of missing the dead ends. Why is this wall so lumpy and bumpy, like a load of porridge? Hang on a minute. These lumps are human-shaped. That's a head, that's a body, and that's a leg. There's his other foot. There's the chest and head. There's the head and chest and well, never mind what that is. I can't mention it. I'm a man of the cloth. And there's the other leg. Okay, it seems that this creature has a sort of a Han Solo in carbonite thing somehow. Okay, fair enough. So was I just immensely lucky? Was I just immensely lucky and managed to get all of the correct turnings? By pure luck and blind chance? Because that seems unreasonably competent of me. But I'll wander around a bit longer, see if I can find anything else. Maybe in that area where there were the wooden boards and everything was in like a black void. Maybe I could have gone a different direction then if I turned left or gone forward. Let me see what I can find. I think I went up last time, didn't I? Let's try going this way. Hello, friend. Another Han Solo and carbonite sort of thing going on. How cheery. I wonder whether there might be the bodies of my fellow clergymen. I must say I do find it quite entertaining how the Lord Raleigh, or whatever his name was, decided to yeah, I was making real good choices with the directions I went. This Lord Raleigh chap has decided to send a bunch of clergymen down here instead of people with swords. I find that rather bizarre. Okay, this is new. I haven't had this before. What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I can't tell if this is where I've been before or not. Hang on a minute. I came through that door originally, and then I went off through that door. How did I get myself turned around? I have no idea, but it doesn't matter, because apparently there's another pathway here that I never saw before. Which is a little odd. Alright. I'll go for another little stroll. See what else I can find. Another open door, implying I've been here before. Yeah, because now we're back to the threesome of doors. Alright. So this is the way that I came originally. Alright, then I'll go up the other dark doorway then. I'm coming to the conclusion that I was just immensely lucky with my choices of locations to go to, because it seems like everywhere I go is a dead end, or somehow manages to turn me around and send me back where I originally came from, which is interesting. So yeah, I don't think, I don't actually think there are sort of multiple endings. I presume you can die in that first place where we found him on the left-hand door of that three-way of doors, but I do want to see if I can escape from this or not, because I don't know, I can't remember whether it forced me to turn around or whether I did that myself in response to a noise, but I want to see whether I can get out before the monster kills me or not. I doubt that I can, but it's worth a try given that we are here. I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down a lot. I'm being slowed down enormously. I've come to a complete stop. This is to force me to turn around, isn't it? Alright, fair enough. I don't know. I mean, I think it's good that you're forced to turn around so that you actually see the enemy. You don't just get your bum bitten off and you don't know what it is. So it sort of forces you to observe the enemy, which is nice. But I feel it's a little bit cheaty that you find that you just stop at the end. I feel like I'm putting a dead end there at the end of that corridor, and find that the light was just an illusion. It's actually a dead end, and you're trapped out there. And then maybe you have to sort of turn around and start walking backwards, and then the enemy chases you and kills you. I feel like that might be a slightly more satisfying ending. But other than that, that's quite fun. Sound design is very nice. The environment is sort of quite little and unique. And how the hell was I so lucky that I got none of the dead ends on my first try? I do not know. But that was nice. I enjoyed that. Weird sort of vampiric chupacabra type of monster. And many a dead priest. Oh well, never mind. You can't have everything. You can't have the sound either. Oh, thank you. Right, idiots. Blasted budget cuts. Right, anyway, we'll leave it there for now. Goodness, this is a heck of the menu. Right, let's book the sensitivity up a little bit, because that's always a bit low. Right, giddy on. Yeah, and the sensitivity is still a bit low. Oh, goodness. Right, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a game called Gideon. No, it's not called Gideon. I hope one day I do find a game called Gideon. I'd really rather enjoy playing that. I can't figure out which way is forward. Right, I think that is forward. Okay, right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a game called The Catacombs, of which I know nothing about. Except that I can hear a gurgling noise. Oh, no, I do know what this game is about. This game is about exploring the catacombs under Paris, which are a sort of fascination of mine. Ah, somebody playing a little game. Presumably this is a French word. One would presume. Yes, the catacombs under Paris are an enormous labyrinth of tunnels and passageways where huge volumes of human remains exist. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think they're just piled up like this. I think they're kind of arranged nicely, like those sculptures on the wall back there. But to the best of my knowledge, nobody knows exactly how far down they go. Nobody's actually sort of mapped them out fully, and large volumes of them are not accessible to the public. You can go into some small regions of them, I believe, but large swathes of them are considered to be too dangerous to access. So, I could be wrong. I haven't looked into it in quite some number of years, but it's one of those sort of fascinating sort of places. You wonder what might be down there. It seems that this game developer had a similar fascination and decided to have a little poke around and create a game where we can go for a little wander and find out for ourselves exactly what kind of horrors exist down here. Oh no, my battery is running out. I don't know how to fix this. I know I can press E to interact with stuff, or it said pick up item, I think. Maybe I can pick up another battery, but other than that, I'm not sure exactly what I can do. I'm not doing anything. This isn't me, this is a cutscene. Can I look around in this cutscene? No, I cannot. The camera can just be really, really gammy. Have I died? Is that the rough equivalent of death in this game? No, just sounds like he's putting a new battery in. Can't tell if that's the noise of a backpack rustling or that of a dog poop bag. I sincerely hope we are not carrying and making good use of dog poop bags down here. Frankly, I dread to think what sort of thing we'd be putting in them. But, that's alright at least. Is that just a stone? I think that's just a stone. Alright then. At least now the battery meter is full. I've also just realised you can actually see the battery meter, which is nice, compared to most games where I usually cover that bit of the HUD up. Right. I thought it was a massive gap, like a big drop here, but that's not actually the case. It is just a slightly oddly reflective bit of wall. Right then. I don't know exactly where all of the bodies and the human remains in the Paris catacombs actually come from. My best guess would probably be... well, I was going to say plague victims from when the bubonic plague ravaged Europe, because we've got well, not an enormous number, we've got quite a few mass graves, oh gosh, underneath London, with mass graves of plague victims in them. Here's a crowbar. I can have this. Excellent. I can do bludgeoning with it. Right. This is interesting. From the clothes, and from the date in the bottom corner, I would say that they died vaguely recently. But from the skeletal nature of them, I would assume they also died not vaguely recently. Maybe I can use this crowbar to pry some of those boards off. Yeah, we have large graves of plague victims under London. I remember once hearing a story about them digging a new tube tunnel for the London Underground, and they had to, while they were digging out the tunnel, they had to change direction to go around a mass grave because they didn't want to disturb it, which was... Oh, I've put it down. I've put it down so I can use both of my paws. Okay, that's a nice touch. Given that most characters holding a camcorder in a indie horror game can usually, play an entire one-man band without putting the thing down. So, goodness me, a real slowpoke, aren't you? Alright, there we go. That's better. Alright then, we have sneaked through. Idiot, he must have heard me complaining about the timing. He didn't even bother taking all the boards off. But yes, I'd imagine that the Paris catacombs are perhaps something similar. It sounds like I'm wading through mud. I don't think I am, but it sounds like that. The Paris catacombs might be something similar, but I would imagine if they were plague victims, they probably would have sealed the graves so that the plague couldn't escape out of it. I'm not sure. Not that Europe has a deficit of things that killed lots of people. Who knows? Maybe they're just full of all the people that got executed during the French Revolution by the guillotine. No real way to tell. But, well, the real way to tell is to go on Wikipedia and find out, Phil. That's the way to tell. Assuming that even any records do exist. Giddy up. It's like a filing cabinet for dead bodies, and a heck of a lot of them. Oh, giddy aunt, giddy aunt, giddy aunt! There is something chasing me. I do not know what it is, but I don't think I can sprint. Oh, fiddlesticks. This is a little bit of a predicament I've wandered myself into. Okay, I think that was a skeletal monster. I think I saw the edge of a skull out of the corner of my eye, and I also think I saw a vaguely dapper-looking jacket. Hello? Where have you gone, Mr. Monster Man? I don't think it was the skeleton we got the crowbar from. It looked to be dressed a little differently. But, that was interesting. Oh, goodness. I thought we'd reach a dead end. I know I went back voluntarily a minute ago, but now that I'm actually being forced to go back, it makes me feel even less certain about my life. Alright then. So, I do find myself wondering sort of where I'm going exactly. Whether there's like a specific path I'm supposed to take, and I'm just being very lucky at the moment that I'm not bumping into a load of dead ends, or whether the reality is that sort of every path leads to roughly the same place. Like these two paths, for example, are leading roughly to the same place, to give you a sort of illusion of choice, where you think you're making choices about going left and right, but really you're always going to end up in the same place, which is the most common method of putting these things together. But we shall see what we can find. I've always, well, ever since I heard about the Paris Catacombs and sort of similar places. I've always wanted to go down and explore them, but I don't know. Just the thought of, imagine standing in a room like this, okay? It's cold, it's dark, it's quiet, and you're underground. You know roughly the way that you came in to get here, but suppose you've forgotten part of it. This, I'm going to get chased in this corridor. I'm going to get chased in this corridor, and not in the nice courtship way. Yes, just imagine being here and that's. I just had to open my big mouth, didn't I? Because I know game design, right? I know the tips and the tricks you people use. Most of them, anyway. At least the sort of thematic and storytelling ones. Never mind the physical coding ones. Yeah, and he's gone again. But yeah, I just think that horrible sense of being trapped underground and thinking that you just wander forever and never actually be able to get out, even though you're probably only, you know, 20 meters from escape and civilization if you could just go up. But that feeling of being trapped in a labyrinth, it's a rather disturbing one. I think it would always keep me from ever actually exploring something like this. Wouldn't mind going on like a guided tour or something down them with some sort of expert that has a map. That would be excellent. I'd rather enjoy that. But the thought of this seems beautifully safe. The thought of actually being down there by myself would be rather scary. No. Why did you drop that? Oh goodness. I think I've been murdered. Ah, yes, I think I have been murdered. Okay, is that all there is to the game? Because I feel like there were some other ways I could have gone. Goodness, very professional. Very professional indeed. I really do feel like there were some other ways I could have gone there. Can I go back? No, of course I can't go back. Why would I be able to go back? That'd be vaguely competent. Okay, I'm just going to get us back to roughly where we were. Light? I have no recollection of there being a light here before. Yeah, I'm just going to get us back to vaguely where we were, because I think I could have turned left there. And again, that might not have led to anywhere different, but I just want to have a little wander around, because I really rather like this. Not just because of my fascination with the Paris Catacombs, but, I don't know. It's like the camcorder bit is actually done better than the vast majority of things are. It's got a believable sort of bobbing about, as it were, and I like the fact that the battery dies at one point. I imagine that that's a scripted thing, and it's scripted to die while you're going through that tunnel. Whether that's just to hide the fact that they don't want to animate you crawling through the tunnel or something else, I don't know. But it is very professionally put together, very much so indeed. And I just want to see whether there was anything else I could have done or anything else I could have seen. And best of all, I want to give you a proper look at the bad guy. So, yeah, there goes my battery that's dying. At the very least, I'll get you a better look at the bad guy's character design, and hopefully we'll see if there's anything else around that we can explore and poke our noses into, the nosy bonies that we are. Should have this. I do find it a little odd that I came down here with no equipment. I think I'd have brought something for bashing with. I don't know much about urban or abandoned or underground exploration, but I feel like bringing a bashing stick is probably a spiffing idea. Your general toolkit. Right then. Doobie-doo, be-doo-be. I bet the acoustics are dreadful down there. I don't know what acoustics are like in underground tunnels, but I imagine they're absolutely horrific. I didn't see that before. Did I look left the first time when I came across here? I don't know, all the corridors are so samey, it's impossible to tell. Ah, so he's down at the far end of this, but then he starts chasing me. That must mean he's hiding in one of these tunnels. quickly peek and see if I can see him in any of them. I doubt that I'll be able to. I imagine he's just despawned and then he'll respawn behind me at some point. But I imagine that's what's meant to be going on. Each of these tunnels gets more full the closer up you get. Goodness, look at you, you dapper Jed with your long coat. Your interesting belt buckle and your red double-breasted waistcoat. Oh, goodness. Yeah, and then he does just disappear. Right, there we are. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we at least got to have a little bit better look at him, because he's quite nicely designed. Can't quite place his era. I can't quite tell if he's modern or whether he's meant to be like a more olden type. Perhaps some sort of Georgian-era pirate, perhaps, that was captured at sea during the French colonial empire and executed in France. And then had his remains stuffed down here so that they could be free of the smelly old soul. Have I reached a dead end? Oh yes, that's because I've turned a corner which wasn't a corner, it was a doorway. Right then, never mind me being an idiot, let me get us back to the end of the game so that we can see if there was anywhere else I could go. Have I managed to turn myself right now? Because I don't remember coming down a second set of this. Yeah, and these are getting less filled the further along I go. I do feel like I have accidentally turned myself around. Giddy. That's another problem with these sorts of things. If you were exploring down one, you could say, well, I'll just, just go down every corridor, and eventually I'll find the exit. If you're competent, you pay attention to your surroundings, it shouldn't be that difficult. But, thing is, it is very, very easy to get turned around without even realising it. At least it is when you're as cretinous as I am. Which I appreciate is quite a high bar of criticism to actually achieve. But, I feel like when you're devoid of light and fresh air and being chased by a Georgian skeleton, it's a little easier to achieve that. I wouldn't, well, I was going to say I wouldn't mind. Yes, I would. I'd be scared stiff of doing it. But, I wouldn't mind actually going and doing some sort of abandoned exploration sometimes. I've never actually watched any of the videos that people make about sort of exploring abandoned places, but, I feel like yeah, this was the bit where I got killed. Was this the bit where I got killed? No, this was just the second chase, wasn't it? Yeah, this is just the second chase with old, Tailcoat McGee over here. Excuse me. I think he disappears when I go around the corner, so I better actually pay attention to where I'm going. That's better. Yes, I've never actually watched all those sort of abandoned exploration things, but I feel like I'd quite enjoy doing it, because, you play games and you don't find them very scary, because at the end of the day, it's just a video game. And it's not all that scary, but, if you actually went and explored like a real abandoned orphanage or something, and, it was all dark and spooky, and there was spooky pooky noises and that sort of thing, one might actually find it a little more scary. Okay, no, I don't think there is anywhere else you can go. There's just, again, it's just two pathways that lead you to the same place, so, that's a bit of a shame. Okay then, let's go have a look at this gentleman's tootsies then, which is probably how some people spend their Saturdays. Can't say it's exactly what gets me going, but to each their own. I think I'd probably be scared stiff of actually doing any kind of abandoned exploration, but I feel like I'd quite enjoy that one time. Just to see like a sort of stereotypical horror game environment. Hello! And actually sort of explore it. I don't know. Something to do in the future, perhaps, one day, if I can ever find a suitable location and can find enough balls to do it. Anyway, that was the Catacombs. I really enjoyed that. That was very professionally put together, with a nice little character model, and it was quite understated. It didn't sort of aggressively throw itself in your face. It just presented a nice little environment, and a nice little enemy, and it was enjoyable. I like that. I hope you enjoy that as well. So thank you very much for joining me this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Look after each other, and good night.